My first real encounter with AI left me feeling like I'd been playing life in hard mode, or without even realizing it. I'd heard of AI, of course. I'd heard of the buzzword in a very abstract way, you know? AI. Complicated robot tech stuff only engineers coding in their basements 24/7 really understood. A few years ago, I was sitting in a conference, and I was listening to a very smart man on stage, and every word out of his mouth was gold. And I remember thinking to myself, I should probably write this down before I forgot everything. And I don't like to brag, but in 4th grade, I did win an award for being the fastest writer. So I whip out a notebook and a trusty old pen, and I start scribbling. Imagine doctor's handwriting if you want to picture my penmanship. My eyebrows were furrowed, and I was nodding occasionally at something the speaker said. And then the guy sitting next to me looks over, and he whispers, "What are you doing?" And I whisper back, "Writing notes. How else am I going to remember this?" And he says, "But why? Just get AI to summarize it for you." Believe me when I say I was dumbfounded. Mind blown. AI could do that. Why didn't this exist when I was at school, writing pages of lecture notes by hand? And do you know what's worse? I'm left-handed. Anyone else left-handed in the room? Yeah? Okay. You understand the struggle. Cue vivid flashbacks of ink stains down my sleeve, down the side of my hand, and ink smeared across the page. Now, that was just a few years ago. AI progression has come a long, long way since. But I'm curious, out of everyone here today in the audience, who uses AI on a daily basis? Can you put your hands up? This is a judgment-free zone. Stop lying. Okay, pretty much everyone. Just as I thought. AI has been promised to transform the future of humanity as we know it. Now, when most people think of AI, they think of smarter machines. They think of robo-taxis, dancing delivery robots, maybe even humanoids doing household chores nobody wants to do. But the story of AI is not just software. The real story is infrastructure. Systems that make decisions which shape our lives. So when we say AI is advancing, we're not talking about AI existing in isolation. We're now building systems more powerful than any generation before us. Technologies that compress years of change into mere months. And you might be sitting there wondering, why does this matter? Well, right now, somewhere in the world, an AI system is making a decision that will affect someone's job, someone's credit access, someone's privacy, and no one voted on it. That scale of influence used to belong almost exclusively to governments, and now it often belongs to companies. Occasionally, just to individuals. And yet, the structures that determine who is responsible were designed for a slower world. In a world where AI reshapes power overnight, responsibility has fragmented so completely that with mistaken diffusion for governance, we've adopted something I like to call distributed irresponsibility, where everyone plays a role, but no one owns the outcome. And that gap between the breakneck speed of AI development and the pace of governance is the mismatch I'm going to explore today. You see, training frontier AI models requires extraordinary computational power. Modern AI is built on these massive data centers powered by advanced specialized chips. And it requires crazy amounts of investments, enormous electricity demand on the scale of cities and global supply chains. In other words, if we zoom out, AI is built on 4 interconnected layers, spanning the chips, the technology, capital, energy, and geopolitics. Whoever controls the chips has cheap, renewable energy, and the supply chains gains enormous leverage in the global race to tech supremacy. But when those layers interact, AI stops being just a technology race. What looks like software innovation on the outside is actually a global system moving forward all at once. Now, I want you to imagine billions of particles in motion. When those particles interact, when they collide, each interaction triggers the next. And in tightly coupled systems like AI, breakthroughs rarely stay confined to the original creators. Now, on a personal level, over the past 10 years, I've worked at the intersection of UK-China government policy, VC-backed tech startups, and international business communities spanning US-China and EU-China relations. And what's striking to me is not the change in flags in my career arc, although that does make me laugh. It's a change in framing. I've watched that speed mismatch in real time. I've sat in rooms where the same AI system has been described as an innovative economic opportunity to be leveraged in one room, as a national security concern in another, and as a reputational risk to be managed and contained in the third. All within the same week. Same global system, 3 entirely different perspectives. The speed of AI development is creating unprecedented opportunities, but also profound societal and ethical challenges. AI isn't culturally neutral. Systems trained on historical data can amplify existing biases, and that shows up in real-life decisions every day. An algorithm that shapes healthcare decides how urgently a patient is treated, or perhaps whether someone's symptoms are taken seriously at all. An algorithm that decides what you see on your social media feeds potentially could shape voting outcomes. So if AI reflects and scales society's past injustices, who's accountable? Remember, AI doesn't see borders. An algorithm that is trained in Boston can shape hiring in Mumbai, which means that a decision made in one part of the system ripples across the world. So it's not just about who controls the data. It's who is responsible when those systems reshape the world. Geoffrey Hinton, often referred to as the godfather of AI, has publicly warned us that the systems he helped pioneer are advancing faster than our ability to fully understand them. And what he means by that is that as AI becomes more and more capable, it requires less and less human oversight. And that raises some tricky questions, not only about the speed and scale of technology, but about responsibility and the loss of control. Perhaps the most troubling example today is agentic AI in warfare. And why is that troubling? It's concerning because reduced human oversight in warfare leads to accountability gaps and escalation of conflict at incredible speed before we even really understand what's happening. And when lethal decisions are increasingly mediated by algorithms, the question becomes unavoidable. Who is responsible if an AI system harms civilians? Is it the engineers who designed the model? Is it the military commander who deployed it? Is it the government that allowed it? In tightly coupled systems like AI, the answer is often unclear. And at this time of increasing geopolitical complexity, these unintended consequences are potentially catastrophic. So it's no longer, can we build this? The real question is, should we? When systems collide, engineers say, we just build. Big tech corporations say, we answer to our shareholders. International bodies say, we rely on cooperation. And citizens, they say, someone else will fix this. And then suddenly, everyone is involved. No one is responsible. Earlier this year, Mark Carney, a key voice on systemic financial risk, who just happens to be Canada's Prime Minister, described the global order as entering a period of structural rupture. Now, rupture isn't chaos. Rupture is misalignment of economic systems, technological systems, military systems, all moving at different speeds. And stress accumulates at those very intersections. Nowhere is that more visible than in AI governance. Around the world, governments are now scrambling to respond. The EU adopted one of the first comprehensive AI regulations, but it faces enormous challenges with uneven enforcement. The US remains incredibly fragmented and still has no mandatory AI regulation nationwide. And China? Well, China's gone the complete opposite direction with strict algorithm governance on deepfakes and AI-generated media. So again, same global system, 3 entirely different approaches. And at an international level, global coordination on AI governance is still mostly voluntary, which means that maybe the biggest myth of our time is that someone else is in charge. We now stand at a critical crossroad where collaboration must replace competition when it comes to AI governance. Researchers, policymakers, the big tech leaders building these systems need to work together. We need clear accountability chains. So, why does that matter to you? A significant proportion of the audience today are under 30. And it looks to me like a lot of you are on the cusp of what I know will be magnificent and exciting careers. You're not just engineers, you're not just economists, you're not just policy analysts. You will move between innovation and regulation, between finance and sustainability, between national strategy and global interdependence. Many of you are already operating precisely at those intersections. The question isn't whether you will influence the systems. You will. The question is whether you will recognize that influence as responsibility. And that begins by resisting the instinct to say, that's above my pay grade, or the government will fix it. At an individual level, it's about how we frame the systems, not heroic save the world mantras. So if you're in tech, you advocate for model transparency, you raise red flags early, you advocate for staged deployment instead of instant scale. If you're in finance, you consider, what incentives does this capital create? If you're in policy, you consider, what unintended technological acceleration might this policy trigger? In tightly coupled systems, responsibility does not live in one place. It emerges through checks and balances between the engineers, the companies, the regulators, the researchers, and citizens. People like me and you. The future of AI will not be determined by how intelligent our systems become. It will be determined by whether responsibility keeps pace with power. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.